Hello everybody, this is Nate, aka Double Dog, and this time I'm making a short and sweet video about Star Trek Bridge Crew and how to control all the roles. First up, let's get into engineering. You have your phaser range, your engine power, and your shield level. As you can see from the top portion of your screen under available power, that's as many power bricks, as I call them, that you're allowed to use at one time. So you got to mix and match between the three to figure out what you would need at that time. A higher shield level naturally will give off a higher signature, so if you're trying to remain anonymous, normally keeping your phaser level down and your shield level down and only putting it in there when you need it. Now as for your system intrusion, most of the time the engineering normally don't do that. You can, once the other members scan stuff, you can use it to hack stuff, but I don't really get into detail. Now at the bottom of the screen you can switch to repair. Now this is pretty self-explanatory because at the top of the screen you can see your hull percentage, your shield strength, and so forth. And as these are damaged throughout the game, you can click on assigning crew and place them in the corresponding one that is damaged, and they will successfully fix the damage as you go through. Now let's switch back over to power if I can get it here. There we go. Now as you see with the power, the main thing is with this is over at the side you see required power. Now generally if you need a travel between impulse, you will need at least 3,000 set on there before you can do impulse. Now if you need warp drive capability, if you slide that over to warp, you'll have to have it maxed out on the engine power to 5,000 in order to be able to do warp. And once you actually do that, as you can see here, then you can hit charge coils. Now once you hit charge coils, it does actually have like a delay before it charges up. Now as you see under system display, if you turn that on or off, it will show a little nifty 3D model of your ship that will represent where the damage is on it, and you can pretty much go ahead and fix it like that. Now as you see there, I hit warp coil. It will take 15 seconds for your warp engines to charge up before they could be used, and then they have a like 28-second charge time for them to actually use that warp once you charge it. If not, you actually lose it. Now you can change over to routing, and this allows you to reroute these powered nodes. Now if you actually have structural damage, you do that to actually fix your abilities, or you can overcharge your abilities by actually doing like you see here with me moving it over. It keeps increasing like the engine power. Now keep in mind, by doing this, like if you need a quick getaway, that's a great trick to do it, or to superpower your shields, but it will lead to actual structural integrity and damage in your systems. So do that sparingly if possible, or not at all, because you will have to fix it. Alright, next up we have Tactical. Tactical is basically in charge of all the weapons. As you can see here, they have their phasers, they have their torpedoes, which you have a limited number. Down there is your shield status, which you can turn on and off. It does have a delayed timer for the shield, so when you turn it on, you have to actually wait several seconds first. And as you see, it's like a radio map that will show the overall view. You have that little thing at the bottom with my one hand is, if you move that right and left, it will expand or retract the overall view there. You can click on whatever item there, if it's an enemy ship or anything else. If it's a ship, it'll actually bring up like basically its weapons, its shields, its engines, and you can basically scan them. Now you can do them one at a time, which is a lot faster, or you can scan all three at one time. And honestly, by doing that, you can see what sort of weaknesses the ship has and stuff like that. Now once you actually successfully do a scan, then you can go to this box that's on the left hand side of the screen and actually do something that is called a intrusion, which will allow you to actually access and mess up the enemy's abilities. They'll mess up their either their engines, their shields, or their weapons. So if you have a ship that shows like it's got a lot more stronger weapons than it does the shield, naturally your best idea would probably be to affect its weapons first. And once you do that, it takes a little bit of charge to do it, and when it does happen, it doesn't last too long. It'll last about maybe 20-30 seconds. And as you see here with your torpedoes, you have to arm them and they will charge up. You click on your target, and once you have your target set, as long as your helm has actually got you in the right direction or close enough, you can fire your phasers and also launch your torpedoes. Keep in mind, you do have a limited number of torpedoes, and it does have a charge timer, a cooldown timer, before you can relaunch more torpedoes. And as you see here with your intrusion target, you can pick whatever enemy ship or item that you actually have on screen, and you can decide to either disable their weapons targeting systems, their shield frequencies to lower their shields, or disrupt their engines to make them dead in space. Once you actually successfully do that, as you can see, you have a timer before it pretty much comes back online. It generally shows you at the top of the screen on your tactical board as well if your ship that you've been attacking has been disabled or not. Other than that, that's pretty much all with tactical, is you just have to deal with that sort of aspect. Next up is Helm. Pretty much you're the pilot of the ship here for the most part. You do have your distributed systems here, like your transporter and your system intrusion. I mean, you can activate it and also energize and do that as well. Most of the time, the helmsmen normally don't, but it depends on the group you're in. Now, first of all, as you see here, you have a little slider up here that will raise and lower your overall view of your area. Off to your left-hand side is your speed. Up higher makes you go to full speed. Lower is pretty much the slow down, and hit the button below it for full stop. Now keep in mind, depending on your engineer, he can apply more power to it. So if you ask him to, more power to the engines, Captain, you can actually go faster that way. Now the right hand corner screen, as you see here, pretty much is how you pilot the ship. Now as you bring up your map at the bottom, you have your local, your impulse, and your warp map, and this is how you teleport around in the game, and we'll get into detail on that here in a short minute. Now as for enemies and stuff, what you want to do is they will appear on screen like everything else, and you can basically click on it, and that way you can actually pilot to get to it. So that way you as Helm can actually allow tactical to get like a better shot or to get closer. Now when it's time to actually warp, you have to have the engineer charge up their engines depending on the right amount of energy, and under impulse I think you only need 3,000 for energy, and under warp you need 5,000. So naturally you'll have to communicate this very visually and verbally with all the other team members, so you work as a cohesive team. But once you pretty much decided, like if you want to go to impulse, you will click on it and it will bring up pretty much a list of destinations you want to go to. Once you actually click that, you go back to your local map, and then you pilot your ship, and it will show this icon on screen there on the bottom map, and also it will show in your view screen there like a yellow weird triangle shaped thing. Now on the map it's like a line, and the yellow cone is your view, but if you look out into space, you see that little yellow icon there. What you want to do is you want to line it up straight in front of your ship, and once you do, you will reach over to your left hand side where there is this big handle, and you will grab it and move it forward to actually warp. It's the warp throttle, as you'll see here in a second after I get a little bit closer here. There you go. You grab the warp throttle and you move it up. Now keep in mind, in order to do that, you have to have the engineer actually charge up your engine warp core, and you only have a limited amount of time once it's fully charged. I think it takes like 15 seconds to charge, and then you only have 30 seconds from there. Alright, last but definitely not least is the captain of the ship. And now if you're the captain, you're basically the head honcho. You're the guy in charge that's issuing orders to everybody else on your team. You're able to bring up like your objective maps to find out what you need to do. You can hail people. You can listen in on other messages. You can actually pick your warp destination. And you have total control over everything. So if it came down to it and you feel some member of your team is not doing a good job, you can physically take over for them. But generally speaking, as long as you pretty much play this game and get used to it, that won't happen. I've been in a group with some people for a while now, and I got pretty good at engineering, and we had a really good captain. He actually took it very serious. He was very respectful to everybody, giving virtual high fives, giving compliments when people did a good job and stayed up on their job. And he'd call you out if you're making mistakes too. He would point out, room for improvement, and that's really what a captain is really being about, is actually being a steadfast leader to the other team members, actually helping them out when they need help, giving good incentive, overall not being a jerk. It's easier said than done, and by far the best thing about being a captain is that little red button you can press that makes everything just start flashing red. Of course, I'm I'm kidding about that, but all in all, the captain, is in charge of the ship. So just keep that in mind, people. Definitely don't want to tick the captain off. I want to give a big shout out to Rex and everybody up at my local GameStop. They have put up with me for a long, long time, and I think it was just time at least give a nice shout out to all them up there. I want to, thank them for pretty much watching my videos as well. And I want to thank everybody who subscribes to my channel, everyone who watches this video, everybody who actually leaves a like or even a dislike, or please leave a comment below about this game if you actually think it's any good or not. And I always got to say it like this. I've always got to end my videos by saying, have fun, play hard, and remember, people, the devil is in the details. Peace out.